Hello everyone, Adam here again from FourFourTwo. Now, in case you haven't been following the news this week, on the weekend, Aston Villa won again. Yeah, that's right, they've beaten Manchester City and Arsenal consecutively at home. And, I mean, certain Aston Villa fans are just absolutely buzzing. I mean, take a look at this one.
Come to Birmingham! Come to Birmingham! So I can pull you apart!
And a little stat for you Villa fans as well. This is the 5th season in which you've accumulated 35 plus points within the first 16 games. The first time was in 1899 where you were champions. James Milner also made his debut for Leeds United in that season, you might remember. The second time was 1900 where you were also champions. 1911 where you finished second, and then 1981 as well where you were also champions, Villa fans. So you're going to win the league. That's it. So the first question, I guess, is, are Aston Villa actually overperforming? I'm not too sure. So let's start with the gaffer, Unai Emery. Now, if you're in any walk of life and you want to apply for a job, then you want to have a strong CV. And Unai Emery does have, and it's a matter of fact, he has a stronger CV than most of his counterparts in the Premier League. So you've got the 3 consecutive Europa Leagues with Sevilla, of course, and then you've got the Ligue 1 at PSG and a few Coupe de France's. Okay, you could probably write them off because PSG, you know, my nan could manage PSG, but nonetheless, it is still silverware, you know. And then, of course, Arsenal as well. Perhaps he wasn't the man manager there required to turn things around there. I think Arteta really is, but tactically, you know, he had ideas at Arsenal and he sometimes made them work, but perhaps just not the right fit for him. But then he went to Villarreal and did really, really well there, winning the Europa League again, and also getting to a Champions League semi-final in which he would have gone through probably, or at least mounted a comeback, had Geronimo Rulli not decided to just consecutively throw the ball in his own net against Liverpool. So a pretty damningly strong CV for a manager. A manager you'd certainly be expecting to get in the top 4 in the Premier League with a CV like that. And then you go through the squad. So let's start with the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, one of the best on the planet. Don't really need to say much more there. Then you've got Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, Luca Dean and Clement Longley, who have all played in the Champions League at the highest level as well. Then you go on to the midfield, you've got Boubacar Kamara, Youri Tielemans, John McGinn and Douglas Luiz, who, I mean, we're going to go on to this in that box midfield. They're all playing there and they're absolutely just superb at the moment. But they have all played at the top level prior to this season and are continuing to do that now and are pushing on to greater heights. So an incredible midfield on paper as well. Then you've got the wingers as well, Leon Bailey and Diaby, of course, as well, who I'm surprised Villa actually managed to get him, the amount of trees he pulled up in the Bundesliga last season, but certainly 2 absolutely elite wingers who are fantastic going 1v1, especially Leon Bailey this season, who's really stepped up. Got 4 goals and 4 assists at home this season alone for Aston Villa, and Moussa Diaby as well, who's, of course, a fantastic player. We knew this, but he's also proven his worth in that team. Then Jacob Ramsey, one of the best English youngsters in the country, which is a nice supplement to have to any squad and adds depth to that midfield. And then Ollie Watkins, who, truth be told, has all the makings, if not already, of being an elite striker. I think he could be already. Like, the numbers are there, and the way he's playing, I'm going to touch on this in a minute, but the way he's playing, I think it's going to suit him in the long run, and I won't be surprised if other teams try to sign him, but I think Villa now have the financial muscle, especially if they finish in a strong position this season, to keep hold of Watkins. But I think he is borderline, can I say that? Borderline world class. He's borderline. He's getting there. So, a fantastic team, and if you stack this up to the 15-16 Leicester City side, which defied all odds to win the Premier League, which a lot of people are starting to kind of do now, because I mean, they're 3rd in the table and we're nearly halfway through the season, just beat City and Arsenal. There's murmurings happening that they could be about to do a Leicester, but I think Villa's squad is on paper, and especially in the managerial department, far more advanced than that Leicester team, which in comparison just looks like minnows, you know, the likes of Robert Huth, who was at Stoke, and Danny Simpson. You know, there was a lot of journeymen in that Leicester City side, and I guess Vardy, Kante and Mahrez kind of sprung out of nowhere into these world-class talents that we now know them to be. So why can nobody deal with Aston Villa now? Well, as Adam very kindly demonstrated in the last video where we broke down the Manchester City victory, they like to play a 4-2-2 almost on paper with this box midfield that's usually consisting of McGinn, Luiz, Kamara and Tielemans, or has been most recently anyway. So they like to match any opposition in the middle of the park man for man, and then when they do get the ball, they like to drag one of these midfielders out wide, get it out to the flank as quickly as possible, and then commit bodies forward as quickly as possible. Almost like a fleet of planes or something, if you imagine them going forward in formation, and the wing backs, who are the furthest wide, really push up with Dina and Cash. They almost they're effectively wingers really when they move forward in this formation and this system. And this form of attacking is just really smothering teams. So against Manchester City, they won the ball in Manchester City's final third a grand total of 13 times, which was the most against any Pep Guardiola side under Man City ever. A ridiculous stat. But they're just pushing teams or pegging teams back. And what this collective mechanical press from Unai Emery is really doing is it's helping facilitate and utilise to the best of their abilities Aston Villa's attackers, who are very good individual players. So you've got Ollie Watkins, who Unai Emery will like to sit in between the two centre-halves, and he'll occasionally drift out wide just to create some space in the middle and separate the defence like Moses. It's very reminiscent of how Jamie Vardy actually acted in Leicester's title-winning campaign. You remember those, chip-through balls over from Mahrez in behind to Vardy. That was 50% of Leicester's goals that season. It's not quite the same for Villa, but Watkins is effectively playing that role. He's stretching defences as much as he possibly can, and he's just as good a 1v1 finisher, and he's also potentially better at 1v1 against a defender than Jamie Vardy was. So he really is a complete package, and that's how they're utilising him as a sort of an archetypal roadrunner at the moment. Then they've got the wide men in Diaby and Bailey, who are absolutely elite at pulling defenders' pants down, and not literally, but just going 1v1 with them and beating them. That was figurative, of course. But yes, Diaby and Bailey are absolutely elite, going 1v1 against defenders, and this Aston Villa team now has really amalgamated to become this perfect blend of, formulaic build-up, but also individual quality that's able to get them goals, and I think the goal against Arsenal the other day is actually a perfect example of this. So you can see here, Kamara pops it into Tielemans, and what this box midfield really like to do, as we've seen several times this season, is when they have it, they look forward and see if they can get it wide as quickly as possible, which is exactly what they do. It's the sheer pace of Bailey which means that he can get to the ball before Gabriel and Zinchenko, and then that just leaves Bailey in this 1v1 battle against Gabriel to sort of kind of hold up the ball but also beat him to shape up and find that space to get across in the box. And it's really, again, that blend of popping it out wide, which has of course been well drilled into this Unai Emery team, but then also relying on that 1v1 ability to beat the defenders when it matters. Bailey pops it into John McGinn, and John McGinn scores a goal. Yay! But just to talk about John McGinn a sec, I mean, my God, what a player he has been this season. He ran 9.8 kilometres against both Arsenal and Manchester City in both games, so consistent and impressive, and in that box midfield that Villa like to play, he is really acting as that sort of third attacking outlet for Watkins and Diaby, or Watkins and Bailey, whoever it may be, as that sort of third man to arrive into the box when it matters. He's got 4 goals this season so far, which is his best return ever in the Premier League to date. Very impressive. Cool celebration too. I like it. Just a side note. Now, another question as to why Villa can win the league is actually, if you look at the season Leicester won the league. Now, in 15-16, Chelsea finished 10th. But, good news, Villa fans. Why? Because now they're even worse. In 15-16, Manchester United finished 5th. But, Villa fans, don't worry. Why? Because they're even worse. And then, of course, there's the semi-serious teams at the top, who all kind of aren't fully at the races. So let's start with Liverpool. Of course, top of the league right now, and have been quite impressive, particularly going forward. But, of course, they are lacking that natural and world-class number 6 that they used to have in Fabinho. It looks like a glaring omission in the squad, and unless they address it in January, you do kind of get the feeling that it will hinder Liverpool at some point. But, they're treading water now, and they are top of the league by a point, to be fair to them. But you wouldn't say that it's a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool side that's at 100% so far. And, if you look at that Palace game on the weekend, they were awful. They were awful, but we're not going to analyse that game. Anyway, Liverpool are still top, but they are not 100%. They are not the Liverpool of the past. Yet. And then Arsenal, well, the stats are impressive. They're better defensively than they were last season, but they're not scoring quite as many goals. However, they are still winning games. However, they're winning games very late, very, very late. And people are asking the question, is that sustainable? Probably not. If you cast your mind back to last season, they of course won at Villa Park very, very late on, where the ball hit the back of Emi Martinez's head. That didn't happen again this season. But they also beat Bournemouth 3-2 in the 97th minute, thanks to Reece Nelson around this time last year as well. So something's never changed. They did it last season and it didn't help them. So I don't think it's particularly a good indicator of mentality necessarily, just because they've won a few late games. They've really got to show it at the business end of the season, which they haven't done to date. But don't get me wrong, that win at Luton was fantastic and massive for Arsenal. But again, another late, not smash and grab, but, a get out of jail card from Declan Rice. Again, he did it against Manchester United. There's just been a lot of late winners for Arsenal. And you get the feeling that might dry up at some point. Their luck might run out and Villa might overtake them. And then Manchester City, we know Pep Guardiola is this evil overlord who is just cooking up some absolutely disgusting formation that's going to get him a 25 win streak in all competitions and everyone's going to be sad, apart from me. But, there is a sign that there's mental fatigue this season to go again after that treble last year. And also, there's been injuries plaguing the team as well, which hasn't really helped. Of course, those players are going to come back, but it's been a really sluggish and slow start for City this season, and a chance for someone else, not even just Aston Villa, to really capitalise on the Premier League this season. But why not Aston Villa? They beat City the other week, they beat Arsenal the other week. Are they going to lose a game at home this season? I'm not too sure. They've got the two hardest ones out the way. If they do Liverpool as well, then honestly, who knows? Who knows? If they keep their players fit, who knows? Because they've got strength in depth, Champions League quality squad, Champions League quality manager. It could happen. It's not impossible. That's all I'm saying. It's the perfect opportunity for someone to pounce. Anyway, yes, guys, a video I didn't think I'd ever have to make at the start of the season. I thought Aston Villa would do well, but they really, really are punching above their weight and impressing everyone so far this season. So you let me know what you think could be the outcome for Aston Villa this season, whether they'll get top four, maybe win the league. If you want to be outlandish and say it. I don't mind. I think, why not at the moment? The evidence is there. At home anyway, it is the stuff of champions, categorically, at the moment. So I'm going to say it. I think, as it stands, Aston Villa can win the Premier League. But anyway, yes, don't forget to subscribe, guys, especially if you're a Villa fan, because respect to you at the moment, to be fair. Even if you did maul my team and embarrass them, to do that is some feat. And you've also done it to Arsenal, which is kind of, it's done us a solid anyway. So handshake to the Villa fans. But yes, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Adam Monk. I'll see you very soon. Au revoir.